Welcome, I'm your host Malcolm Gallagher. From our BizVision studios in the UK, you're watching the BVTV network. Scaling up is on the wish list of many businesses, many business leaders these days, especially following a recovery period after the pandemic. But scaling up is easier said than achieved. My guest today believes that the two key challenges can stand in your way, and these two challenges are overwhelm, what my guest calls a tsunami of noise, and disconnect, the challenge of collaboration and alignment. I enthusiastically agree with her on both these challenges. So let's go find out how to overcome them and meet the founder of coaching company, the Leaderpath. Welcome, Caterina Kostoula.
Thank you, Malcolm. It's great to be here.
Yeah, well, listen, I have to say to you, and I hope you don't find this male or wrong thing, but I just love the way to say your name, Caterina Kostoula. It's lovely. Are you in Greece at the moment?
I am not. I left Greece 15 years ago, so nobody has told that to me before about my name. So I welcome the compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it is. It just rolls off your tongue, really. Caterina Kostoula. Anyways, I'll move on before I get lots of letters from you saying you're just being creepy, Malcolm. You know, I'll be chatting to Caterina in 2+1 parts. The two are clarity and leadership. Now, these are the two parts which can help you resolve those two challenges I've just been talking about. The +1 part, you have to wait until the end to find out about it. Such a tease, aren't we? But first, Caterina, can you briefly tell us who Caterina Kostoula is and some of the key highlights on your journey to where you are today?
Of course. I grew up in Greece, and after university, I studied marketing. I moved to Spain for 3 years to do advertising. I had a plan, an 8-year plan. I was going to do 3 years in Spain, then move to France to do my MBA, and then move to the UK. And that's what I did.
Right.
But there was a challenge on the way after the MBA. It was 2009. There was global recession. And even the year before, everyone that would have finished the MBA would have found a job. I didn't. I finished the MBA. It was 2009. It was hard to move to the UK, not having prior UK experience, recession. And I went back to Greece for a few months, and I was trying to find a job after this huge investment on my education. And again, I worked on a clarity of vision. I was like, okay, I want to move in the UK. This is not clear enough. Where do I want to be? And I actually narrowed down the companies into one. I wanted to get into Google.
All right.
So I went into YouTube. I envisioned myself working there on the offices. There was a YouTube video on the Google offices in London. And it happened. Wow. After tons of applications, and because once I got the first phone call of the Google recruiter, I dropped everything else. I stopped applying to everything else. I put all the eggs on this basket. I moved to the UK with the one suitcase. I actually became a British citizen last week.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah,
thank you. Yeah. And I was remembering I moved to the UK with this one suitcase and broke because I had given all my money to the MBA. Mm-hmm. And I did land that job at Google. And I stayed at Google as a global business leader for 8 years. I was managing some of their largest accounts of advertising agencies. And it was halfway through that journey, and I know this will resonate with you because you're a coach. I went into a coaching training and I was blown away. I was like, wow, with the power of coaching, helping other people develop. So I started shifting my Google role. I was still keeping my clients, but I was doing coaching internally. I started coaching externally too. I started writing in 2016 as well about leadership and personal development. The writing took off. A lot of publications took on the articles like Fast Company. And in 2008, I decided it was time. It was time to make the jump and leave the big family that was Google for me after 8 years. To focus on my coaching business, the Leaderpath. And I loved it. Like being an entrepreneur, building a global coaching company. Google is my client, so I never left them completely. I still coach a lot of Googlers. INSEAD, which was my business school, are one of my clients too. And this is what I do now. I work with clients, especially scaling companies, on clarity and leadership.
You know, I was just thinking as you were telling us that lovely story there, it must have been a wrench in a way to make that big decision to leave the big comfort of Google to go it alone.
It was, and it took me years. I have a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'm so jealous. You followed your passion." And it wasn't like this. It was a process. And sometimes it takes longer than we think. Like I realized I loved coaching in the first moment I got the first coaching training, and I finished the coaching masters of science. But I think first you follow an interest, then the interest becomes competence because you practice it. Then competence becomes confidence. And I'll tell you, Malcolm, it took me years, but the moment like the last day, I remember I sent an email to my colleagues at Google, and someone replied, "Oh, you're taking this big risk." And that day I was so clear of what I was doing, and I was so confident that I would go well. And I didn't have the data. Like I had 3 clients, by the way. I left Google with only 3 clients, that I was actually surprised, taken aback by this email. I was like, what risk? Seriously, for a few seconds, at that point, I was so clear. And what happened, since you mentioned that, I actually left and I thought opportunities will come, ideas will come. I may not have them now, but that was the belief, right?
Yeah.
I left Google. I wrote an article the day I left, very emotional, because it was an emotional, like I was certain about the decision, but still the goodbyes are emotional. That article went viral on LinkedIn. And the first week I'm out of Google, I got 25 coaching requests.
Wow.
So I would have never predicted that, but I knew once you are on your path, opportunities will come.
Yeah.
Like I had this faith that opportunities will come. You cannot predict what they will be. And I was proven right the first week out of Google.
And I think that is really exciting what you just said. Once you're on the path, it's so many people never get onto the path. You know, they're too busy talking about it and thinking about it, and it never happens. Caterina, let's get started on part 1. And we're going to talk about clarity. Now, is this clarity of vision or purpose? And where does clarity get fogged? And how can we all clean our lens?
Sure. I work mainly with clients on clarity of vision. And we answer 3 questions: where I want to be, where I am, and how do I get there? Because purpose, I find it's easier. Most of my clients, 99% of them, are very clear that they want purpose in their life. It's easier to figure out what the purpose is. I think some they want sustainability, or they want to help. Like I don't see them having so much challenge with their purpose. They have a challenge finding a purpose-driven company, by the way, sometimes.
Yes.
But mostly the challenge comes on the vision. And even though I even developed like a 6-week group coaching program for the people, like to get more scale of clarifying your 3-year vision, I realized not even the challenge where it gets fogged is because of the lack of courage or the fear. Sometimes the fog comes because we don't really want to be clear on what we want, because we're afraid, that will require change.
Yeah. That word that everybody votes for, but nobody wants to do it, isn't it? Change.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how do you then help them clear that fog? I mean, is it through dialogue together? Is it through a process that you developed? How?
Yes. So First, I need to create the safety, being aware that the reason people say, I don't know what to do, even if they're an entrepreneur or a leader, I am aware that the reason they don't know what to do is because somehow what they want to do creates fear. So my first step is to create this safe environment. I will start with the life aspect, actually, before we move into the work, because it's more fun. Like, what do you want to do for play? How do you want your health to be in 3 years' time? What relationships do you want to invest on? So I'll start with that to ease into the process, right? Because I think it's a clear. And then what are your values? What is important to you?
Yeah.
I start more playfully. Or if it is, what do you do for fun? What do you used to do when you were a child? If they're looking into what career they want to have, right? And then we create options. And to create the safe environment, we do experiments to test the options. I think that's the breakthrough. Rather than, you have to make a decision and commit to it. How about we generate some options of where you could be in 3 years' time, what you could be doing, whether your business or your career. And let's create some experiments. Experiments could include interviewing someone that's already there and see how you feel. It could be doing a volunteering project on that field and see how that feels. So I'm trying to remove the fear and the risk in the exploration and make it playful and fun.
Yeah. One of the things that I found about vision, given all the interviews we're doing, and is that so many people change their vision, not because they want to, but because they're forced to by the corporate playbook. You know, they'll say, this is what you're going to look like. This is who you're going to be. Do you find that some people have that challenge?
Yes. I usually have this saying that you need to make sure the ladder you're climbing is against the right wall.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So and sometimes to see as a person whether it's the right, sometimes you need a break, because it's hard to move the ladder if you're still climbing the ladder. You need to get off the ladder. So I'm trying to introduce this. Even a coaching session is a break out of you're stopped for this 90 minutes trying to climb that ladder, and you actually get off the ladder and see if the ladder is on the right wall. But then it's around the second part of our discussion, which is leadership, and it's the 360 leadership. How do you negotiate those things with your manager, with the organization? How do you exercise this influence? Then I think if you want to stay with this organization, because sometimes you won't, sometimes the right decision is to leave. But if you want to stay with them, there's always this negotiation, what the business need and what I need. This is always going to be there. And you need to negotiate your way through there so you're fulfilled and happy, and also you deliver the impact for the business too.
Sometimes, I think on clarity, we don't see ourselves, we don't see our own, do our own self-awareness. And I was talking to one coaching client the other day who was complaining about his team not following him in these difficult times and supporting him, everything. And actually, he was the one causing the lack of clarity, because it was quite rightly trying to make his business survive and thrive in this thing, but he was firing in so many directions that his people couldn't see the vision.
Absolutely. And that's why I said I say about the overwhelm. Yeah. I think it's also that the way we live now, there's bombardment of information, like through social media, and everybody and all these people trying to sell to us. Do this, and this is going to work for your business, or do this, and why are you not trying this? And this is a new platform you should be on. There's so much opportunity, which I guess it's a great thing. But on the other hand, it does create overwhelm about how to get there. I guess the person you're describing, he has a vision. I want my business to be doing well, or etc. The how to get there can get overwhelming, and how we simplify so that actually we can lead the team, so they have a clarity of the where we're going and how this would look like, and doing fewer things better.
You're right.
And I think coaching. That's why coaching helps, because you can take this time to actually reflect and see what's important and what you should be doing.
Brilliant. Yeah. Caterina, before we move to part 2, I'd like to remind viewers and listeners of your URL, your website, which is, and viewers, obviously you can see it on the screen behind me there, theleaderpath.com. So let me say that out again for you listeners, theleaderpath.com. And you can see, if you look carefully, viewers, on the screen behind me, a tease for part 3, which we'll be talking about later on. It's that book there. Coming back to that beforehand, though, is the word leadership. I think today's leaders have new challenges, especially regarding visibility, conscious leadership, and remote or hybrid management. At the moment, according to a number of research, it shows that 1 in 4 workers in the UK are considering moving because they feel that poor leadership by their boss during the pandemic. They say, we're having no more of that. Let's move on. What's your thoughts here?
Sure. It's true. Leadership is important. And we all know, like, people they join companies, they leave managers. I like to use a model I learned during my coaching studies to help leaders. And it's actually a model coming from humanistic psychology. So it went from humanistic psychology to coaching, and I have adapted it to leadership. And it's 3 pillars. The first is empathy. Like, getting yourself into the shoes of the people you want to lead. The second is authenticity. How you show up as a real human being rather than a robot. Sometimes I work with a lot of tech people and they've been trained not to show any emotion, for example. And the third one, and that's where I see many of my clients find challenging. The third one is appreciation. In humanistic psychology, they call it unconditional positive regard. I kind of changed it to appreciation. And that is actually approaching the relationship with a positive mindset that the person is competent and they're doing the best they can.
Yeah. You hit upon it so beautifully there in those three letters there. I was in America yesterday via Zoom, of course, talking with the author of a book on authenticity. And I've long been an advocate of the fact that we tend to be bound again, just like we talked with clarity. We're not authentic because we want to toe the company line. And I don't think you can do that today in today's leader. You've got to be more compassionate, surely.
Oh, yes. Yes. Because, and you must have seen, I've seen it in my content. Like I always knew authenticity and people appreciate the authenticity. When I mentioned the article that went viral when I left Google, and I was like, why did this article went viral? Because there was a scene in the article that I'm in the Google toilets crying the day I'm leaving. And I was, should I write this? Like I need to position myself as this polished executive coach. But that was the truth. That was the emotion. And that's what resonated with people. And actually, that's what set up my business. And it's a similar, and we'll go into part 3. When the first time I saw the book, it was also an emotional reaction. I had a video. Should I share this? I decided, yes, I'm committed. This is my theory. You need to be an authentic leader. This is what happened. And I shared this. And again, the reaction of the people to have an authentic human being sharing something, it was phenomenal. Like I can see the numbers. So that's the same in the company. The more authentic you are as a leader, people will connect with you and they will follow you because they connect with you in a human level.
Yeah. Do you think then leaders have obviously had to implement that word we were talking about beforehand, change beforehand, and changing themselves has not been easy. Do you think it's because in the past they were so used to having this hierarchical building or office, and I'm on the top floor, just send the messages down like tablets of stone by Moses and everything, that suddenly they've got to change and be on the level and communicate more humanely? Do you think that is going to be the thing for the future?
I do think that authentic communication will be the thing for the future. But it's interesting because the way I approach change with clients, I actually don't ask them to change. I believe in this paradox theory of change, that if you fully accept where you are, only then you can change. And if you think about it, authenticity is not about changing. It's actually fully accepting who and where you are. So what takes energy is pretending, having this corporate face. And it's more around letting all of that go. And it'll be such a huge relief for you. And you give permission. If you're the leader and you do that, you give permission to other people to bring their true selves. And actually a company that does this well is Pixar, which that they had success after success for 20, I don't know how many years, right? It's a hugely creative company. So what do they do when they bring new employees in the hiring? They do this training. They go and list all the mistakes they've made. And why do they do that? To make it okay for people to challenge their superiors, to make it okay. Look, we're extremely successful, but we've made tons of mistakes. So everyone, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to challenge your superiors. It's okay to be human. And that's why Pixar succeeds, because they create this safety to error and experiment. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Caterina. Now, let's move to my +1 part. And I believe great congratulations are due to you as your new book, which you can see on the screen behind me, and you're going to tell me about in a second, is already a bestseller in a number of countries, and it's only just been released. You've kindly agreed to come back soon onto BTV, by the way, for a special with me on the book. But go on, give us a tease to what's it called, what's it about, and what's in it.
Yes, thank you. It's called Whole Successful Meetings. And I have to say, if you even told me 2 years ago that I would write a book with that title, I would say, no, that's impossible. Because I had this feeling of meetings, of boring, frustrating, ineffective. I had this aversion, right? And then I was working with my publisher. It's a part of the Penguin Business Expert series. And I wanted to write a book about leadership. And they said, no, we want you to solve a specific problem. And they mentioned meetings. And at the moment, I felt such a huge emotional reaction, but I hate meetings. And then I realized, but all of my career, whether I was a salesperson at Google or a coach, my craft, the thing I learned to do really well was successful meetings, right? Because it's either a sales meeting or a coaching session. So I'm like, this is the perfect lens for me to write my leadership book, because meetings are a huge problem. A lot of people suffer in unsuccessful meetings. I do have the knowledge and the expertise because all my life I was building this skill, even though I didn't know it was meetings, right? I called them coaching sessions or sales sessions. And that's what the book is about, to have fewer. I'm a big fan of fewer, but more purposeful, more impactful meetings, because we change the world through meetings.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to our chat about meetings, because I know that it's the bane of life of many people, going to meetings about the meeting and so on, and fortunately I don't have that because I'm not in that corporate world. But I also believe that meetings waste a lot of time, and they are very expensive. And of course, another challenge that people have got is how to do remote meetings these days, because virtual selling is going to be with us forever. So I'm really looking forward to delving into whole successful meetings with you. All too often, I think companies, especially big ones, want to wrap their challenges in complicated solutions and complex language that often lead to little or no action. I love the way that Caterina Kostoula of the Leaderpath has avoided all that mumbo jumbo and gone for the two key challenges we've looked at today and those key solutions. Thanks, Caterina, for a very refreshing and stimulating interview.
Thank you, Malcolm. It was great being here.